let's set the record straight. While I did talk about in the previous video after the election, keep that in mind, after the election, about the massive voter fraud that's been going on, I honestly did not take it into consideration previously before the election. The reason why is because I thought the enthusiasm between Donald Trump and Joe Biden was so massive that even with voter fraud, that wouldn't have been possible, and that Trump would 100% legitimately, shown on the map, win the presidency. That was my big mistake, and I apologize for that. But nonetheless, even with the massive problems that have been going on, which is an understatement, there has been some issues of some attacks made by the Trump campaign in order to deal with the whole situation of voter fraud. Just very recently, yesterday, the Pennsylvania court decided to toss out thousands of ballots that have arrived after November 3rd. The reason why was because in Act 77, the state legislature said all mail-in ballots must arrive by 8 p.m. on Election Day. However, the state Supreme Court, which is run by Democrats, decided 4-3 to allow an extension, saying that it was completely fine to have mail-in ballots as long as the date's been received on November 3rd, which would have easily led to massive problems. There could have been which, after all, with potential dumps of thousands of ballots being supposedly for Joe Biden. Hell, just look at the situation in Wisconsin and Michigan. And I will get into that into this video a little bit. But thankfully, the courts decided to rule against this and to throw out the ballots that have been received after November 3rd, which is definitely a major win, and it could potentially have a massive impact. Overall, on Election Day, Trump was ahead by 700,000 votes in the state of Pennsylvania. However, over 3 days, Joe Biden somehow managed to come up behind and take the state, which is kind of weird, especially since Joe Biden himself said that he wanted to ban fracking, and the state of Pennsylvania has a major industry based upon fracking. Never mind the whole lockdowns and the rise in taxes as a result. But nonetheless, this could potentially throw out hundreds of thousands of votes and could flip the state for Pennsylvania. This would flip Pennsylvania for Donald Trump, potentially. But there's still a few other issues that honestly need to be addressed. There are still many lawsuits that are going around that the Trump administration has managed to file suit. One in Michigan, and several in Wisconsin, and one in Wisconsin, and so many others that are just affecting all of these swing states: Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia. The only one that I so far have not heard of is with North Carolina, and that's because with as far as I can tell, they haven't had too many problems. Although according to Real Clear Politics, that they decided to call the state for Donald Trump, meaning that he won the state according to their perspective, and I still hold to that account. But now we're seeing major cracks in the system with the whole issue of voter fraud. Because I believe that this ruling in Pennsylvania is definitely going to have a much more bigger impact. There's going to be more precedence behind this. Just as this happened in Pennsylvania, it's going to happen in a lot of other states as well. Already, in Pennsylvania and in Michigan, and I believe also in Wisconsin, the state legislatures, which are run by Republicans, have decided to issue audits before that they can certify any of the votes. They have decided to certify them. Hell, they decided to issue an audit and make sure that there is a full recount on these ballots to make sure that everything is in place. Hell, even in the case of Georgia, and they themselves have a lot of issues there. There's already going to be a recount, this time by hand, and I think that there's going to be, just in my own personal opinion, the state will stay with Trump. Because of course, the hand ballots, a lot of Donald Trump has been very encouraging with people voting in person. Plus, let's not forget the fact that Dominion, which was the voting machine, the voting software system that over 3 states have used, has had so many glitches, not just in Wisconsin and in Michigan, but also a few in Georgia, from what I've seen. And considering this may potentially give Donald Trump that state as well. Potentially, not a clear. It's not entirely clear yet, but I wouldn't be surprised. Nonetheless, this could potentially have an impact on millions of votes. Because already, things are pretty strange. There was a graph, thanks to 538, that showed in Wisconsin that Trump managed to have a gradual incline where he finally met his medium of the amount of votes that he'd get. Same with Joe Biden until 4:30 a.m. where he made a spike and managed to somehow overtake Trump. There's already so many problems with this situation. But I'm getting off topic for a little bit. Already a lot of states are following suit with these audits, these recounts, trying to see what the problem is. And there is not really that much trust in the election system right now, especially with Dominion. Again, with the large amount of glitches as a result. And of course, a little bit of conflicting interest, because there have been it has actual connections to the Clinton initiative. And that's just one of many huge issues that Dominion has been in as of late. Plus, let's never forget the fact that these glitches are happening in swing states that Joe Biden desperately needs. It seems like more than coincidence that the problems occurring with voter fraud happen to be in these swing states. I'm not saying that there isn't any voter fraud in red states or blue states, but it's definitely very prevalent, especially since a lot of these states, Wisconsin and Michigan specifically, have had the highest turnout of 90%. Keep it this way. They have had a turnout between 66% to 70%. Yet somehow in this election, they managed to get 90%. Now, let's take that into comparison with Australia. Because in Australia, it's mandatory to vote. If you don't vote, you face a fine. And they managed to get a 92% turnout. Already, there's too many irregularities as a result. Again, I can look back on so much with the voter fraud. If you want, check out my previous video where I talk about all these problems that are going around with Pennsylvania, Michigan, whatever, including with dead people apparently voting. But already we're seeing a massive state revolt as a result. A lot of people are definitely protesting outside in the streets of state capitals in order to stop the count, because honestly, as more votes keep coming in, they seem to be going more and more for Joe Biden. And they seem to have constant dumps of these votes that virtually all of them were for Joe Biden. And that's just one of many issues. I think that this will eventually set a pathway to Supreme Court. And this would potentially throw a lot of these major ballots out as a result. Now, the Supreme Court cannot decide who is the winner of an election, but it can decide on certain things like auditing and throwing out ballots. And even in the case of in the case of Associate Justice Alito, can segregate all the ballots that have arrived after November 3rd in the state of Pennsylvania. And I think that will be a major game changer. I honestly, I do believe 100% with what Sticks, Hex, and Hammer has been saying, as well as Razorfist. This will be a majority, with the conservatives having a majority in the Supreme Court. I think that they would potentially choose Trump. There's always a chance that maybe the exact opposite, and there will be a few defections with the conservatives. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if something like that occurred. That happens a lot in the Supreme Court. But in all honesty, considering with a lot of the evidence that has constantly being piled up in terms of statistics, major irregularities, glitches, witnesses who are willing to testify, whistleblowers in the USPS over giving Joe Biden votes higher priority, dead people voting, and there's just so much to deal with. I think that, and here's my personal opinion based upon this. The Supreme Court will side with Donald Trump by a 5-4 decision. That is what I expect. What I hope, and I would be surprised by, is Chief Justice John Roberts siding with Donald Trump. Now, the reason why I don't believe that is because, honestly, Chief Justice John Roberts has been known to be a major flip-flopper, considering that he was appointed by Bush, and he's honestly not very conservative. But I would be surprised if he manages to decide to turn to the conservatives and give Donald Trump a 6-3 decision. I would be even more surprised if there was even one defection from the liberals. But in all honesty, I would expect it to be a 5-4 decision. But even if there was if either this doesn't go Trump's way or it doesn't go to the Supreme Court at all, it's already coming. It's already having an effect on the states, possibly changing electors. I don't know if that's a possibility will happen, but it's definitely not off the table. I believe 100%, thanks to this, that Donald Trump will have a chance. But Razorfist stated 100% clearly, this is an act to undermine Trump's second term. Because already we're seeing that the media is trying to create the spaces that Donald Trump, if he manages to succeed in this, it's a coup. Never mind the fact that there's massive evidence of potential voter fraud, as well as bias, at least in the case of the USPS. But again, this already, thanks to what's been going on with the 2020 election, people don't really have a trust in what's been going on. People don't have a major trust in the media. In fact, it's pretty low, especially, in fact, approval ratings for Congress are higher than the mainstream media. They have no confidence in this election, and already whether or not whichever candidate wins, either Joe Biden or Donald Trump, one side is going to think that other guy stole the election, and that's not a good thing to have with this country, because already there's such a major partisan division. But I believe 100% this will go to the courts. In fact, it's already going to the courts. I believe it will reach the Supreme Court. And this will be Trump's chance of achieving victory. My name is Noah Meehan on The Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding my videos, such as how I speak or anything you'd like for me to improve, please post them down in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.